everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Disillusion Plays The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we play the game and do the voices.
Yeah.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Taylor.
Just before we jump on into the next bit, why don't you give us a like, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and leave a comment down below if you wish.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the last episode, we actually finished The Great Ace Attorney.
The Ace Attorney.
I can't talk today, it
Whoops.
seems.
We finished The Great Ace Attorney last episode. We
Yes.
had the finale.
Yes, the finale happened. We finished it. So we thought just before we jump into the second game, we thought, do a little palate cleanser, and we might give the Randst Magazine Escapades a go.
Yeah.
But obviously, I just want to point out, spoiler warning, probably don't watch these unless you've watched through our full playthrough of the first game, because this will spoil things. So.
Or if you've already played it. Although, admittedly, if you don't watch our playthrough, you might be confused as to why certain characters are Scottish.
Hey, we just rolled with it. It's fine.
Because they might, on your playthrough, perhaps they weren't. But anyway, so without further ado, instead of wasting more time, let's jump on in and see what happens.
See what these are all about.
Yes. Well, in fact,
Nice little palate cleanser.
in the first of 8 escapades, Ryunosuke finds 2 troublemaking witnesses from his earlier trial having a battle of words in the defendant's antechamber, leading to a real tongue lashing.
Oh dear. I say.
I say.
Guessing this is back in Japan, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So these, whether they actually happen or not, I don't know. But these are all kind of like taking place along the timeline of like the first game.
Yeah, sort of alongside. Yeah.
Apparently, they don't spoil the second game in any way. They're kind of like totally separate to it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Antechamber 5.
Just look at my priceless treasure now! Myself, I have scrubbed and scrubbed, but the repellent odor of meat will never be repelled from its resplendent surface again!
But you have it back in your possession, at least. You should be grateful, old man.
How dare you!
Excuse me, but I'd just like to get at that Zabuton cushion there if I could.
Ah. Rest assured, you miserable military malefactor, this is not over! Incarceration awaits those who would defraud a senior citizen for his priceless treasures!
Oh, watch your tongue, old man. Mark my words, I won't.
Sorry, Sergeant, but could I just get at that Zabuton cushion there as well?
Oh. I won't go to jail. Never! Imagine if I did! The very next day, my boy would starve without the chain of command in place to provide for him.
Using the child to protect yourself? Myself I call an absolute cowardice!
I call that absolute.
Oh, really? And who just employed the poor, defenseless senior citizen tactic? The only way to fight an enemy who's using underhand tactics is with a tit-for-tat strategy.
Sorry to interrupt again, but I just need to get at that Western-style cushion there on the sofa.
Enough of this insubordination! What do you want, man?
Oh, please, don't mind me.
Aha! Do my eyes deceive me, or is this the wild-eyed criminal from the trial before?
Wide-eyed, perhaps, but criminal? No.
The
What is
wobbling.
this unearthly fascination you exhibit with the seating arrangements of others? Why were you peering under the cushion of this upholstered seat?
Well, the thing is...
Oh.
Is this Kazuma?
It's probably Kazuma, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Any luck? Did you find it?
There he is.
There's my boy!
My boy!
No, sadly not. I don't think it's here, Kazuma.
You really are a liability, Ryunosuke.
Report at once! Have you lost something? Is that it?
Yes. We were just on our way to a party to celebrate my friend's victory here when...
I realized that my university pin badge was missing.
A university pin badge, you say?
Yes, from my collar here, you see?
Affirmative! Uniforms must be kept in prime condition at all times. A missing badge is unacceptable.
I thought if I looked around, it would probably turn up somewhere. Like the old tale of the Koban coin and the stake.
A parable of which I am acutely aware.
But I've exhausted my search now, really. The only logical conclusion is that someone must have stolen it.
Don't look at me. I don't just find any old metal objects irresistible, you know. Just maybe that one. Imagine what would happen if little Trooper Ida here swallowed something like that.
Oh no. I'm afraid we'll have to give up, Ryunosuke. Still, if you tell the office your student number, they should be able to issue you with a new one. What's the matter? Don't tell me.
This is the 5th time this has happened. Yes, I don't remember my student number.
Oh, you're hopeless. I don't believe it. I mean, this is the 2nd time you've lost your badge, isn't it?
The 3rd, actually.
You didn't think you could remember it. You should have made a note of it somewhere.
Well, I did, but then I lost the note.
I told you that until I was blue in the face the last time this happened.
Oh, dear.
Yes, I do seem to remember someone telling me something along those lines. It was you, was it?
Can't even remember who told you that you needed to remember it.
I didn't realize I was playing Pete in this scenario.
Hey, that's mean.
Well, student numbers are 6 digits, Kazuma. Who could remember 6 whole digits?
Yume isn't exactly a long-established university, you know. All of our numbers are still rather low. In fact, they only just used the last 3... Oh, sorry. In fact, they
So it's
only...
ot, 3, ot.
In fact, they only used the last 3 digits.
Well, that might help, I suppose.
That might help. Ryunosuke, it's only 3 digits you needed to remember. Just 3.
Sorry, my brain is such a disappointment.
Yes, well, anyway, young man, myself, I was greatly impressed with you in the courtroom today.
No? You mean me?
A lawyer already before you even graduated, and such a loyal friend to this one.
Hey. This one? What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, no. I still have much to learn. In fact, that was brought home to me in no uncertain terms only last year.
I sure am looking forward to a long-lived legal career that certainly won't be cut short, unfortunately, on the passage over to England.
By tripping over a cat. I know that wasn't it, but still, it's mean. Oh no.
Don't disrespect the dead.
But he's there. He's not dead, he's there.
He will be, though, and it makes me sad.
Spoilers!
My Achilles heel was spectacularly exposed by my best friend here.
Indeed.
What? By me? This is the first I've heard about it.
Yes, by Ryunosuke Naruhodo. You can't have forgotten, surely. Oh, wait, you've just said you forgot your can't remember your number, and you've lost your badge 3 times. Oh, wait, who am I talking to again?
Oh, no, it's spreading.
It was last summer at the speech contest.
The speech contest? Ooh, that.
Contestants had to take to the stage and deliver a public address on any subject they chose.
Well, that sounds awful. No thanks.
We were competing to give the most compelling and powerful speech.
I want no quid pro quo. I want nothing.
No.
Rub-a-dub-dub. Thank you. And yours was great. It made a huge impression on the audience.
Obviously, since I was a budding student of law, I was determined to win. And sure enough, one by one, my opposition fell. When I reached the final at last, I came up against you.
Yes, so you did.
Not being rude, but when I first laid eyes on you, I thought to myself,
Wow, that guy sure looks like...
pathetic.
Pathetic. There's no way he could possibly win.
This cheeky, wide-eyed no-hoper is out of his depth. He's going to be a pushover.
Ouch. That's your version of not being rude, is it?
Well, I paid for my complacency. Was it brought on that humiliating defeat?
Defeat? How are your ranks compromised? Compromised?
My speech was going very well, and I had the audience in the palm of my hand. They hung on my every word. And then, when I came to the very last line...
Yes? What happened at the very last line?
But what did happen at the very last line?
No.
Sarah, why'd you take the time? We've only
I don't
just
know,
started.
because I panicked. I panicked. It's a reflex, okay?
God damn it! You're using my ultimate talent against me! It was supposed to be a climactic end. Unfortunately, like my voice actress, I completely fouled it up. Fouling everything up.
Oh, no.
Never.
You mean you stumbled on your words?
Spectacularly. Even now, I can't believe I've ruined it.
Well, what on earth did you say, man?
Ryunosuke, you better say it. I still can't get my tongue around it.
Sure, of course. I can still recall it perfectly.
Good for
What you said at the end of your speech, or rather, what you intended to say at the end of your speech, was this. So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight and the fight for filial piety.
Did he swap the letters around?
And what went wrong?
What indeed? Myself, I see no problem with the pronunciation of those paltry words.
Yeah, but that's because Ryunosuke is saying them.
In that case, old man, I invite you to say it yourself.
Oh, no.
Very well, then, I shall. So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight and the flight and...
It wasn't me. Like,
Well, I would say it's impossible, but I didn't get to say
there
it.
you go.
Okay. So arise and applaud for our forefathers' plight and the fight for filial pile.
So, wait, can we go back up and see what it was originally again? So arise, ladies and gentlemen, and applaud our forefathers' plight in the fight for filial piety. I don't see the problem.
Filial pile.
Yeah, they pull up filial pile.
Filial pile.
Filial pile.
Filial
It's
piety.
impossible!
The arise, ladies and gentlemen part I delivered perfectly. But the next part had me floundering for a whole 5 minutes. By the end of it, I was on my knees in front of the podium, a blabbering mess.
Oh, dear.
Oh, poor Kazuma.
And that's when the audience started to heckle you. Arise, arise, they were shouting.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Hell on earth.
Indeed.
But then, of course, this man went and delivered his word-perfect speech with a perfect ending. How did it go again?
Let me see. So, my dear fellows, the message is simple. Treat your father and mother with respect. Something like that?
I mean, talk about stating the obvious. But the fact is, I lost to that speech.
Tongue-tied is the only way to describe it.
Well, it's quite...
Well, it is quite
Oh,
tricky
sorry.
to say.
Sorry!
No, that's okay, Kazuma. Well, it is quite tricky to say, I agree. That final fight for filial piety, especially.
And ever since that day, I've had this question whirling around in my head. Why did our forefathers choose such an awkward phrase? Was it to mock their children? I mean, it should never have been called
Filial piety in the first place.
filial piety in the first
No, in the
place.
first place.
Oh, did you say the flirst?
Oh, the flirst
the flirst pace.
Oh no!
I didn't see it.
In the first pace. Ah!
The filial
At least you're
piety.
going to Great Britain soon. It might not come up much there.
I hate you, Randst. Well, anyway. Having lost that accursed contest, I came after you to ask you a question. How is it that you never trip upon your words? I inquired. And you just gave me a broad smile and said, speaking fast is my hobby. I mean, really? What kind of hobby is that?
Do you think you could take your hand off your other sword? Besides, it's just a way to pass the time.
After that, you started See? Can't even talk.
Kazuma, are you all right there?
Oh, shut up,
You're not
Randst.
tongue-tied again, are you?
Arise, arise.
All right, all right. That's going to be what we say whenever we stumble over our words
Oh,
now.
no. I best get used to hearing that
Oh
then.
god, I'm gonna be saying it a million times. That Randst, don't make me get the sword. After that, you started talking at me 10 to the dozen, like you were possessed almost. Honestly, you can't imagine the shock I suffered that day. You really can't.
You're right. I really can't.
Speaking fast is just the sort of hobby I'd expect a civilian like you to waste his time on.
No,
Well, you have to practice, of course, but there are some simple things to start with. Like this famous one, for example. Swift samurai sword swipes silently sideways.
Ah, yes. Even a decrepit tongue of an ailing frame such as mine can find its way around that one.
oh no. This is really annoying because I struggle with S alliteration. This could not have happened at a more inconvenient time.
To a more inconvenient person.
Yes!
You can do it, Sarah. I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Go on, let's get it over with.
I just laughed my f***ing head off.
I've no doubt. It's just a bit of fun, really. I can't imagine anybody would struggle to say it. Isn't that right, Kazuma?
The game is mocking me. The game is mocking
You
me.
feel personally attacked.
Yes, I do. No!
Swift swabawai sword.
Arise! Arise! A blabbering mess by word two.
My God.
It's not just the samurai. Every good soldier needs to be able to handle a sword. That's why I've been busy teaching Haido the finer points of swordplay.
Oh, yes.
None of this wordplay nonsense, Private.
Come to think of it, not long after that, we started to attend lectures together, didn't we? And we got into a debate about family values at the sukiyaki place on campus.
Arise,
Do you remember?
arise, Randst.
Indeed.
Yes. Your argument was full of jokes and puns and wordplay as usual.
Oh my God, am I Ryunosuke?
Are you a descendant of the descendant of the descendant of the ancestor?
Oh, was it?
In any case, I swore that I would never let myself forget the shock you gave me back then. And as a symbol of how seriously I took that oath, I decided to wear this. My red
Oh,
Hanchimachi headband.
Is it Hachimaki?
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 Hachimaki.
Hachimaki headband.
Eh?
Sorry, Kazuma.
Yes.
You've lost me there, I'm afraid. I don't see the link. What does your red headband have to do with your oath?
Because it will always remind me of that smug look on your face as you uttered those tantalizing words.
What words? You mean another tongue twister?
Practiced and practiced until my tongue bled.
Bled.
But in the end, I mastered it.
Mastered what?
Well, I think it's time you heard this, actually. Listen carefully now.
Are you ready, Sarah?
No. No, I'm not. Here goes. Red headband, lead headband, red dead headband.
Oh, you nearly.
Nearly.
Arise, arise!
You almost got it.
There, word perfect, see? Didn't stutter once.
This is fascinating.
I'd actually been meaning to ask you about that. About the story behind your headband, I mean.
How on earth it blows when there's no wind indoors?
Renosuke is just.
Well, now you know. So that I'll never forget the shock and humiliation of that day. That's why I wear this red headband every single day, without fail.
Well, I don't know exactly how much of a shock you think you had back then, but it can't be more than the shock you've just given me now.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but
Oh, no.
the tongue twister I said didn't go the way you seem to have remembered it.
Huh?
It's just as famous as Swift Samurai Sword, so I can't believe you don't know it, really.
Just twist the knife.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh, and my controller's gone to sleep.
No!
Of all the times.
Technical difficulties.
Stupid. Alright, apologies.
How did it go to sleep when you're actively clicking the button?
Well, because that's the thing.
It goes...
I pressed the button and then nothing happened, so it just died. Like the battery died.
Oh. F mega.
But I've sorted it now. It's all good.
It's all good.
Okay. It goes red bread pan, lead bread pan, dead bread man.
Dead bread man.
Wait. What? Bedfred Kazuma is just me trying to do a tongue twister.
What is this?
What?
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Oh, my controller's actually being a pain.
Oh no.
I don't believe it.
It seems I've knocked some wind out of that headband of yours, although
No, you haven't.
it still seems to be blowing, so not that much.
It's not too late, Private. You could always start wearing a red bread pan on your head instead.
Your youthful vigors manifest, young man. Your cheeks are glowing redder than your hachimaki.
Why do so many...
Sarah at the minute.
That's
Why
why
do
it was.
so many words have to be so similar?
I mean, that's why that particular roar there had some real gusto behind it.
I guess I'm not going to show you the Fox and Socks book. So, looking forward to Great Britain then, where you'll have to deliver speeches in court in English.
I suppose I can always shell sea-cell.
Oh,
He's saying it wrong though.
You can always go on.
Oh, he is!
Yeah.
He is! Oh god, he says it like how I do! You could always shell sea-cells on the seashore. So I could do that one because I can't alliterate.
I saw
it.
Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop.
Taylor, no, we're not supposed to
Careful.
swear in this game.
Careful!
No swearing.
She sells seashells down by the seashore.
Right then.
Right, I guess next
Let's
one.
hop into the second one. In this second escapade, it transpires that another crime was committed aboard the SS Burya. That of the English language.
Shut it, you.
As Kazuma tries to say. The stakes are high as Sholmes and Stroganoff pursue the culprit, but there's more to the crime than meets the eye.
Transformers!
More than meets the eye. Okay.
Ha.
It's almost 2 weeks now since we left Japan. Can't believe how quickly time has gone. So, our next port of call will be Shanghai.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Who's there? Could it be at this hour?
A detective.
A detective!
So I mean, it could be.
Herlock?
It could be Mr. Sholmes.
A detective? Who?
A great detective.
I don't get it. What's a great detective?
If you would just be so kind as to open the door.
Oh, yes, sorry, of course.
You really left me hanging there.
Is something wrong, detective? Are you investigating a case?
Wherever a great detective goes, great cases occur. Indeed, I am the root of all evil.
Sorry? Then I don't think I want you in my cabin.
Under our very noses on this steamship, a terrible theft has just occurred.
What?
You noticed, I presume, the brief power failure a short while ago.
Oh, yes. The power could have been out for more than 10 minutes, though.
Indeed. Yet that was ample time for this wicked crime to be perpetrated.
I see. Well, clearly it's a case that needs investigating.
Precisely. The culprit ran away in this direction, down the first-class cabin passageway here.
Really? The thief came this way?
I'm quite sure of it. It may have escaped the attention of the dim-witted crew, but not of the great detective. To that end, I would be obliged if you would allow me to investigate here in this cabin. Oh my god. Right.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
It's mouse time.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, my mouse! What's
Oh my
happening?
gosh.
Right, okay, there we go.
Technology. 'Tis wonderful
What's
when
happening?
it works. Well,
How curious. Is there some reason why it would inconvenience you to have your cabin searched? Perhaps you're hiding something, maybe?
inconvenience me? Well, I'd be lying if I said no. After all... There's a stowaway in that wardrobe right over there. It's just me in here, you see. No one else.
Are you sure? You do realize that I have X-ray goggles?
So you might perhaps want to focus your attention on one of the other first-class cabins?
As it happens,
For God's sake.
you are the only first-class passenger at present. The other cabins are vacant.
Oh,
I presume that's going to be Rianosuke.
yeah.
Okay.
It was my stomach.
Did that rather tragic rumbling of the stomach arise from within you, my good fellow? Or am I hungry?
Of course. As I said, I'm the only person in here.
I mean, I suppose it could have been me.
It's not long until dinner time now, so perhaps we could do this afterwards.
I do apologize, sir, but it is of the first importance that the investigation is not delayed. Now, if you'll excuse me...
Wait! Where did he go? How Did he suddenly move all the way over there?
Yes, without a doubt. If the culprit were to be hiding in this cabin, it would have to be inside this wardrobe. Oh, let me just have a peek. I should just need to examine this wardrobe thoroughly. I presume you have no objection.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to decline.
Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!
Oh, Ryanosuke.
I'm sorry, who?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Did those two rather tragic sneezes arise from your good self?
Of course they did. As I said, I'm the only person here.
You have a curious knack of talking while sneezing, then. Twice, no less.
This is going to be a tough one to argue.
I was watching you quite intently, sir, and I assure you I saw no signs of a sneeze.
Ryanosuke have held his nose.
As I was saying, I shall need to examine this wardrobe.
We've had it now, then. The game's up.
Oh my! What a selection of dresses you have!
Oh, this one's rather pretty.
Nobody hiding in there, it seems.
What?
I mean, of course!
You seem surprised.
No, not at all. Yes, I am. He was in there for sure. I shut the doors on him myself.
Oh.
More visitors? Who's this now? Tis me, Beef Stroganoff.
Beef. Oh, there he is.
Excusing me.
Oh, Seaman Stroganoff.
Sorry for disturbing, but crime has been committed on board ship.
Yes, I heard. Terrible theft, apparently.
How do you know this?
Well, the detective here just informed me, you see.
Pay no attention to fact that my accent sounds like man who was on trial, or was jury member in case. Is certainly not reflective of lack of range on actors' part.
Oh.
Don't be mean.
Detective?
Yes. I assumed you must have asked him to investigate. Detective, could you...
Where's he gone?
What? Where did he go?
I must ask you to cooperate with investigation into this crime. Fully.
Oh, he's glaring at the wardrobe already.
Oh, it's Sholmes in the wardrobe.
Oh, maybe.
Probably.
Well done. You found me.
But what are you doing hiding in my wardrobe?
Oh, no reason. My good man. I was merely assessing the practicality of concealment in such a place. And I would say that at a push, a human could survive for up to 5 minutes in that cramped space.
Ryanosuke's been in there for a fortnight. Is he not human?
Who are you?
Shh. This is the moment of truth. The great detective is about to unveil the sordid details of this wretched crime.
You mean to say...
Yes, there can be no doubt that the culprit of this terrible theft did indeed conceal himself within this wardrobe.
What?
But that's impossible! He couldn't have done! Because my best friend was in there the entire time. Or at least I thought he was.
How can you be sure of this?
Elementary, my dear fellow. The criminal left behind the most revealing evidence. This pair of underpants. How else could you
Complete with
explain
skid marks.
these three? Eh?
Complete with skid marks.
Oh, no.
Oh.
How else could you explain these 3 bones?
What the? He's right. Look at those gnawed bones in there. Are there 3 of them?
Oh, perhaps I should have given Ryunosuke more food.
The criminal has escaped this time, but I will find him and crush him.
Could I ask you something, Detective?
Why, yes, of course. I'm always delighted to answer an inquiring mind.
In this terrible theft, what exactly was stolen?
Aha! What else? But some steaks on the rib bone.
Huh? Did you say steaks on the rib bone?
I'm afraid I don't think that I stuttered there.
For this evening's dinner, 3 rib sticks were stolen from my ship's kitchen only short time ago. There was malfunction with generator and ship was without lights for 10 minutes. Chef who saw criminal said that he ran away down first-class passageway. And now I am on his tail.
I'm afraid to say, dear fellow, that your man is no longer inside this cabin.
But how?
Through the cabin door, no less. Having devoured his haul in this wardrobe, the culprit discarded the bones and concealed himself behind the cabin door as you came inside. Then, when attention was turned to the wardrobe, he seized his chance to escape through the open door.
What?
Make haste, my good man. After the culprit, I shall follow presently.
Like a...
Hold it!
Something troubles you, sir?
I think maybe criminal is not running away at all.
What are you suggesting?
Now I know where the dog is buried, Mr. Asoki.
Me?
Duh! When I think that you are culprit, everything is falling in places. The criminal that disappeared in first-class passageway, the bones and the wardrobe. All clues are pointing their fingers at you!
Don't be ridiculous! I would never!
Yes, of course. I established at once that you couldn't be the perpetrator of this crime.
You did?
Why? How are you so sure?
Because he's a vegetarian, you fool. My dear fellow. There are but 2 things in this world on which one can rely with total certainty.
Tax and death? What 2 things?
The first is the word of a great detective, naturally. And the second...
I guess it's the stomach.
Rumble.
The second is the tragic rumbling of an empty belly.
Ah! Not again.
When I first entered this cabin, there did arise from this gentleman a belly rumbling so odiously tragic that it confirmed beyond all doubt that the man had not eaten a single rib steak in some time, let alone 3.
Why do I have to suffer this humiliation when I've done nothing wrong?
Yes, I don't know why, but I get the feeling that I'll be dealing with some of that in the very near future.
Curses! I will catch this thief. He cannot have gone far.
Indeed. Assuming he's decided against a post-meal constitutional swim. Well, if you will excuse me now, my apologies for upsetting your evening. I'll just put these stakes in my pocket.
Detective! One moment, please.
Yes. Yes.
That was a most remarkable deduction. Perhaps you'd be kind enough to tell me your name.
Ah, it quite slipped my mind. You have been talking with the one and only
Herlock Sholmes!
There we go. I see. Well, I'm Kazuma Asogi. I'm a student on my way to Great Britain.
Pleased to meet your acquaintance, Mr. Asogi. Oh, and before I forget,
Yes?
I feel I should warn you. Live cargo is strictly forbidden on this vessel, so I'd probably do something about your dog. So you would do well to conceal the stowaway currently lying low under your bed as carefully as possible.
Oh, bother.
Under the bed?
No?
I bid you farewell then, Mr. Asogi, Mr. Stowaway,
Nah.
Mr. Stroganoff.
He's uncovered our secret. Suppose I should have expected nothing less. A great detective.
Oh, bother. I left my
And
shoes out.
Stroganoff isn't reacting. I guess like, what is this?
Now then. When did you move in under the bed? I thought we'd had it when he opened the wardrobe door.
Ah, well, it was thanks to that split-second chance you engineered.
That I what?
You distracted him for a moment, remember? When you suggested that he investigated the other cabins instead.
Oh, yes. He turned to look towards the corridor, didn't he?
Well, I couldn't see what he was doing, of course. But I thought to myself, it's now or never. And the next thing I knew, I was under the bed.
You really know how to give me a scare, don't you? Anyway. What's all this about the rib steaks, eh?
Sorry about that. I've just been so hungry. Ever since we left Japan, stuck in that tiny wardrobe. Well, you should know. You've been splitting all your meals with me. You must be starving too, surely.
Oh, right on cue.
And there was that power cut before, wasn't there? For about 10 minutes.
So it was then.
I caught a whiff of the most delicious smell. And I thought to myself, it's now or never. The next thing I knew, I had the steak in my hands.
This man just can't help himself getting into trouble.
You don't know the half of it.
Well, all right, you were hungry. But 3 steaks? Thanks to you, 3 crewmen are going to have to go without tonight, I imagine.
No, it was just the one.
What?
I only took 1 rib steak from the kitchen, that's all.
But I don't understand.
Hey, I'm not that selfish. If I'd stolen 3 steaks, I'd I'd at least have tossed one your way.
I'm not your pet dog. Well, in that case, who stole the other 2?
Ah, do you think? Could there be a ghost on board? A meat-loving ghost?
There can only have been a single bone in the wardrobe of Mianosuke moved to hide under the bed.
Sholmes took the other 2.
Yeah. Which means that the other 2 bones can only have been put there by one very flesh and blood person.
What's so funny? We're on a haunted ghost ship, zoinks!
A great detective. Or a great mischief maker.
That sounds a little bit like slander.
Either way, I think I'd like to spend a little more time getting to know that man. Oh, Kazuma.
It would be a true shame if something happened to interrupt that.
The great Herlock Sholmes. Very coy smile. Okay.
Okay, and with that, that's another one of those done. And, well, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave it here for now so that we're not going to be we're not going to have like a super long episode. I know it's a little shorter, but like it's going to end up being quite a bit over an hour. So I think what we'll do is we'll end up doing a few episodes of these.
Yeah.
And then we're going to jump into the second game. So these are just going to be, like I say, like a little bit of a palate cleanser before we hop into the serious second episode and find out what happens there. So we hope you've enjoyed. And if you have enjoyed, why don't you hit that like button, drop a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. I don't know, share the episode with your friends. Or not friends, who knows. That'd be nice. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one.
See you next time.
And remember, tongue twisters are a fun way to annoy your friends.